the elections, why both parties should worry. Victory laps can turn into trapdoors. So it's been a fascinating week of politics with the election results coming in Tuesday night. Senator Ted Cruz, the Republican, sounded the siren on Fox, calling this week's results a disaster for Republicans and a warning sign after Democrats swept marquee races from Virginia to New York City. He warned the left is energized, outraising and outvoting the right, and that complacency could turn a bad week into a midterm catastrophe. But it's not that simple. Democrats have a problem too. The socialist label thrills part of the base, but spooks the middle. National polling keeps socialism, that word, underwater with the broader electorate. If Democrats let the brand drift that way, whether they want to or not, they risk losing the independence they need to hold these gains. Plus, people who just consider themselves moderates or even liberals but don't like socialism. Bottom line, Republicans face a turnout and a money deficit. Democrats face a branding and persuasion deficit. Both can lose from here. Okay, so what's the real message? The election this week had good news and bad news for the Republicans and for the Democrats. The good news for the Democrats, they won big everywhere by much bigger margins than anyone thought. Their turnout surged. That's bad news for the Republicans. But the Republicans got some good news too. And that is they've got a new boogeyman. And boy, is he scarier than Nancy Pelosi. He's a certified bona fide Democratic socialist. And that's a word that sends chills up and down the spines of moderate voters across the country. Okay. Let's take a look at some of the facts here in greater detail. So again, to clarify, Ted Cruz is a smart, savvy political operator. People don't like him personally, but everyone thinks he's smart. He's certainly weathered a lot of tough political storms. And let's not forget, he almost got the Republican nomination for president in 2016. And certainly you have to consider he would run again if there's ever an open campaign for president again. So he's hitting the right notes. He's saying, look, Republicans need to take, first of all, this No King's Day thing seriously. He was out front on that, to his credit. He wasn't simply giving partisan spin, oh, that was a day of hate. He was putting on sort of his political strategist hat, saying this is a problem for Republicans because there is growing, mounting intensity of anger by our opponents. It's not enough in politics to just have people kind of sort of side with you and not like the other party. It's much more powerful if they hate the other party so much and they're willing to march and go out in rain, snow, sleet to vote for you and help. That's Ted Cruz's concern right now. The Republicans don't have the energy that the Democrats do when he witnessed things like not just the No King's Day, but the massive turnout in places like New York City this past week, and the massive loss. We're talking about double-digit losses in a place like Virginia, where Trump has done extremely well, and Republicans have won the governorship there before. So it's that intensity and the expectations game that the Democrats did so well in. So Ted Cruz is rightly concerned, and I think he should be. Now, let me give you the honest, unbiased analysis here, because I'm here as a sane, sensible centrist. Do I have opinions? Sure, but I try to give you honest, straightforward analysis that doesn't necessarily appeal to any one party. So I'm gonna give you kind of the worst case scenario for the Democrats. I do legitimately think that as talented as the new mayor-elect of New York City is, or Andani, the fact that he might actually be very popular, he might do good things, he might go down in history as a great mayor, he might get reelected. Aside from all of that, this is Christmas, birthday, New Year's, all wrapped into one for Republican strategy. And let me give you a little background. For my entire life, Republicans have run on the message of, you've got to vote for me because my Democratic opponent, no matter how centrist he is, no matter if everyone thinks of this Democrat as a conservative, and believe it or not, there used to be a lot of conservative Democrats, and there still are. The Republican campaign message was always, can't vote for the Democrat because he's too liberal or too far left. And in the last decade, it's been, they're socialists. If you vote for the Democrat, it's going to be 19 72 Fidel Castro Cuba with everyone driving around in old rotting cars and starving to death. That has been the primary political message emanating from the Republican Party during campaign season. And it often works. It is effective because Americans don't like socialism. They don't like communism. But here's the thing. It's always been arguably either a stretch or just an absolute flat out lie, because Democratic candidates, by and large, and Democratic officials, almost unilaterally or without opposition, oppose socialism. They don't embrace socialism. They're not members of the Socialist Party or the Democratic Socialist Party, almost without exception, until now, because now you have arguably the highest ranking Democratic official in the entire country, if you want to look at it that way, because New York City, home of 8 million people, home of Wall Street, really the cultural capital of America, it's the capital of the media. Whoever's mayor gets the biggest spotlight is now someone in the Democratic Party who calls himself a democratic socialist. And no matter how many times people say democratic socialist, Republicans, conservatives, a lot of moderates, the only word they're going to hear, they're not going to hear that first word, they're going to hear the second word, socialist. And it scares people. People fear all of a sudden, no free market. All of a sudden, I can't buy a new car. I have to steal a 1957 Chevy and keep it together with chewing gum. That's what people hear. So as good of a day as it was for the Democratic Party, and it was a very good day this past election, and as talented a media communicator as Mandami is, and I think he's an extraordinary talent, I do think that this is going to be a huge problem for Democratic candidates in all the swing districts that really decide who runs Congress. Because now you're going to have a situation where in every swing district where, sometimes voters pick a Republican to go to Congress, sometimes they pick a Democrat. Now what you're going to have is in every one of those races, the Republican is going to say, vote for me because the other guy belongs to a socialist party, and they're going to show a picture of that guy or that woman right next to Mandani. And sometimes they're going to have it morph into the same person in a humorous way. And they're going to have a quote of Mandami saying, I'm proud to call myself a democratic socialist. And the socialist will be in all caps about 20 font sizes larger than the Democrat. And it is going to have some negative impact. It's absolutely true that the word doesn't scare people as much if they are younger. If they're under 40, a lot of people don't mind the word socialism. But let's face it, a lot of voters, especially in swing districts, are over 40 in both parties. They've got the time, they're following politics. So let's look at some more of the facts here. According to Pew in 2022, 36% of Americans had a positive view of socialism. So it's not exactly a word like pedophilia, okay? But 60% have a negative view of this. And it hasn't really changed. Gallup took a poll in 2025. 39% viewed socialism positively. So it went up 3%, although not really that statistically insignificant. 57% negative overall. Again, not really statistically significant. The point is, a lot more people can't stand the word socialism than like it. Now, because of this weird quirk in American politics, there's much more power given to certain locations. Rural states, rural congressional districts, because of electoral college politics, gerrymandering, simply have outsized influence in not only who gets to control the White House, but who gets to control the Senate and even the House. In those places, in rural areas, the word socialism has a special taint. It won't, because here's the problem. If you're a Democrat, and let's say you're a conservative Democrat, let's say you're right down the center ideologically, or even right of center, your opponent's going to spend all the time saying, don't vote for this guy. He's the party of socialism, and he's going to vote for socialistic party leaders. Look at his number one leader, Mandani. And so now that candidate is going to have to spend time saying, yeah, I'm a Democrat, but I'm not this kind of guy. It creates all of this tension back and forth, putting the Democrat on defense. Now, Republicans have their baggage as well. You've got, according to some polls, someone who could be the next Republican nominee for president, Tucker Carlson, openly cavorting with and hanging out and palling around with and platforming Nick Fuentes, an out and out avowed Nazi. somebody who loves Hitler, somebody who thinks Jews are a real problem. And there's some divisions there, but let's face it, Tucker Carlson's not elected to anything. He's not officially a Republican Party official, although you could say he's the de facto head party. It's just not the same. So that's my message to Democrats is you've got to think how to package this and how to deal with this issue. And it may even start with the idea of lobbying, begging Mamdani to just call himself a Democrat and drop the S word. Now, that's hard to do when you've run your entire campaign and your persona is based on that. But it is a political problem, and I don't think it's going to easily go away and say, oh, TJ, you're old. You're an old boomer. The young people, young voters, they don't care about these labels anymore. I'm very skeptical of that school of thought.